Welcome back, everyone, to the FloTrack podcast, and happy Monday after an absolutely frenetic track and field weekend. I am Kevin Sully. He is Gordon Mack. Subscribe to the FloTrack podcast YouTube channel if you haven't already. If you haven't watched all the stuff that came out of the Penn Relays, be sure to check that out. You could be busy for the next week just catching up on old track if for some reason you missed the last couple days. Gordon, are you rested and ready?
What does that word mean? The word you just used in the beginning.
Welcome back.
No, frenetic.
Frenetic.
What does that mean? Is that with a
Chaotic. It's all over the place. It's busy.
frenetic? Is that with an F or a
Yeah.
PH?
An F.
F. Frenetic. I'm gonna use that.
Spelling with Gordon on the
No, this
How are
weekend
you
was
feeling?
frenetic. I'm feeling great. I didn't get in till midnight last night. Had a long delay in travel, but um, we were kind of living in the world of Penn Relays, right? We're there Thursday, Friday,
Mhm.
Saturday. So much chaos, so much freneticness going on. Okay. Is
Not
freneticness
a
a word?
word.
No? Okay.
Don't think
Well, it's,
so. Maybe Colt can pull that up for us.
I,
I
I
don't think
created the word.
freneticness is the word.
A lot of freneticness is going on. And we're kind of in our bubble of Penn, right? But obviously, there were some other
Yeah.
events going on, Drake Relays, and there were some really good sprint meets. And when we're sitting there, I just remember we were sitting there
Mhm.
like it was the end of Penn Relays, and then all of a sudden pops up on our Twitter feed, Erriyon Knighton runs 1949 at LSU. And
Yeah.
we're like, wait, what? And we're like, oh, maybe it's like 5.0 wind, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a typo on the tweet. And then, nope. Sure enough, we bring up the results. We see it's win legal. We see the race video, and we watch this race video like 20 times in a row. We did our own little hand timing to make sure. We're like, okay, was that really a 1949? I did my own little manual testing with my cell phone, and it was real. And now we weren't doubting it being real because we think Knighton is a fraud. We were just doubting it's real because we're like, oh my goodness, we may
Mhm.
have an all-time great coming up into our sport for the next 10 years. And it's like out
Mhm.
of excitement because Knighton is 18 years old. And he's just
Yeah.
ran the fourth.
Yeah.
He's the fourth fastest human ever, and he's 18. Your
Mhm.
prime is going to be like when he's 25. He's 6 years,
Yeah.
6 or 7 years away from his prime, and he's already fourth all time. And man, we keep on talking about U.S. sprinting, right? With the depth in the 100 with the Curleys and the Brumels of this world, and then now in the 200 with the Kenny B's, Noah Lyles, and Erriyon Knighton was always like the flavor of the U.S. 200. He's like the young new guy. He's gonna push it. You know, he's the fun little wild card. But when you run 1949, you're no longer the wild card. You're no longer the little icing on the cake for the depth of 200. You're the dude. He's the guy. Like, sure, Noah Lyles technically supposed to be the guy right now because
Mhm.
Noah Lyles best U.S. runner right, like based on resume. He just broke Noah Lyles' record. Not record, but broke Noah Lyles' PB. He ran 1949. He's 18. He did it in April. This is not normal. This is unreal. You see the progression here of Knight. We're comparing now Knighton to Bolt. We're comparing
Mhm.
Erriyon Knighton to Usain Bolt, and he has now surpassed him. He was a little bit behind him in age 16. 17, he was zero point 0.1 faster. 18, he's now like zero point 0.5 faster. It is just insane. And it's
Mhm.
also extremely exciting. And I can't wait to see what he does next.
You watch this race, and the one thing that stands out to me is sometimes 200-meter runs look like two 100-meter segments put together. Even when someone runs it really well, it looks like, okay, here's the curve, and then here's the straightaway. For Knighton, it was one big smooth race. Like you look at him coming off the curve, it just looks effortless the entire way around. And one of the things I looked at after like my jaw dropped, obviously wind, but then also looking at who's in the field. And you look at this field and winning against this field by half a second tells you a lot there. Like Fanbele runs 9.9 and Knighton beats him by a half second. Like Fanbele's definitely legit sub 20 guy. Obviously, we know how good he is. He runs a half second better than an Olympic finalist. That's cause to make you just scratch your head about how good he can be. And then you look at the other performances on that all-time list. You said fourth all-time, right? But Michael Johnson only ran one time quicker than that. Atlanta Olympics. Blake did it twice. Once at a Diamond League in Brussels, once in the London Olympics. Bolt did it four times. Once in Berlin World Championships, once in Beijing Olympics, London Olympics, Daegu World Championships. Knighton did this in a relatively, you could say, low key meet in Baton Rouge at the end of April. I know we can go back now and say, oh, yeah, this was a sure thing. This was a sure thing. But there's a version of the story where Knighton makes the Olympic team in 2021 and has a solid career the rest of the way, but is always in that, 3, 4, 5, 6 range. Now we are presented with the other alternative of the story where you have an infographic up comparing him to Usain Bolt. And for once, the next Usain Bolt thing isn't crazy. It's not hyperbolic because you have an 18-year-old run 19.49. And it looks like we're going to see this version of the story. Now, I'm super curious to see when he gets against even better competition, right? In a meet on the Diamond League schedule or USA's, but I was completely stunned. Obviously knew he was capable of running this sort of time at some point in his career. I did not think it would come this early. I was stunned.
Yeah. And also, I'm going to say this, maybe. It was kind of a bummer that he runs this incredible performance kind of in front of nobody. That he was running, we were at a track meet that had 20,000 people in the stands, maybe even more, going wild over every race.
Mhm.
Imagine if Knighton were to run that 1949 in that Penn Relay Stadium at Franklin
Mhm.
Field. It would have been like nuts. They
Pandemonium.
were go. The Jamaican crowd was going nuts over like the fifth best high jumper's second attempt. Like they were glued
Yeah.
into every single thing
Yeah, yeah,
across the
yeah.
track and field, and it's just a bummer that we see this meet go on and not okay. Like whatever, it's not like there's only gonna be one track meet every weekend. I'm not saying that, but like it sucks that some of our track meets are gonna be like kind of empty, and these incredible moments are only captured on a cell phone, right? By an
Mhm.
SID.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
kind of sucks that this historical moment wasn't really given the fanfare it could have been given. Which is why we're trying to give it as much now. But all we can do is talk about it now and not really enjoy it in the way it was enjoyed live for those select few hundred people that were actually on LSU's campus that day.
Mhm.
Whereas, I was just thinking, I mean, this is also maybe me just being a little recency bias, but the atmosphere at Penn Relays on Saturday afternoon, I was like, I'm at a football game. I'm at a Division One college football game right now, and it's for a track meet, and it's pretty damn cool. Anyway, but Knighton power rankings right now. Gun to your head.
Well,
What's the order? What's the order
yeah,
of your U.S. or world? Let's say world ranking. What's your world ranking? What's your top three? What's the
I was just about to ask you that.
podium?
I wanted to go second. I wanted to go
Oh, you
second
want
on
me to
that.
go
I didn't want to
first?
have to go. No, I can go first. I can go first because it's also interesting. Lyles ran 1986 this weekend, and that would have been the story. And that's a
Where do you run
great
that?
result. And end of April, ran it in Claremont, win legal, 19.8. So my last rankings, I had Lyles, Curley, DeGrasse, Bednarik, Knighton. I mean, I'm putting Knighton one. I'm putting Knighton one. You can say, oh, don't overreact to one performance, but his hundreds have been good this year versus the competition, right? You have that Bermuda time that was crazy with the headwind. He got second there, but then he beat Lyles in another 100. And then you look at how well he did in the Olympics last year, and he's going from 17 years old to 18 years old, it's not just one performance. So I would have Knighton 1 right now, probably Lyles 2, DeGrasse 3.
Currently not in the top three.
I'd have him 4 and then Bednarik
Oof.
5. Right now is what I would have. But
Don't tell
I
Curly
think
that.
I think all of it's grouped. I think all of it's grouped very close together. If I'm predicting right now.
What's so great about the men's 100 and 200 is that there's an argument for everyone being better than someone else, right? They all have
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
their thing to point to. I would
I think it's
I
a group
mean,
of 5. I think it's a group
yeah.
of 5 right now. You have the 4 Americans plus DeGrasse.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Because Fambula could potentially be join that group, but right now his start is just not good enough to go up against people who are going to be running 19.5s. I'm don't want to be prisoner of the moment. I still think Noah Lyles should be one. And it's more about like I think Knighton may be 1 year away from being like I think Knighton needs to have his silver medal or bronze medal this year before then next year. I think Knighton is the 2023 favorite already, locked up. That's sealed. He's going to win the 2023 World Championships. 2022 though, I still got to give one more year to Noah Lyles in my mind.
See, I think that year that you're describing was last year. He didn't get silver, but he got 4th and was very competitive. And then remember how well he did in the trials. I think that was his calm before the storm year. And then right now
Now it's the
we are
storm.
in.
We're in the storm.
I mean, listen, if it was in 1989, it'd be different. 1979, even. It's just there are some times that are so fast that they have to mean something. And this was one of them.
Okay,
Has to mean something.
what can Noah Lyles run for you to consider him the fit? Like if he would have ran 19.7 flat
Yeah.
this weekend, would you have been like, well, okay, Lyles is just gearing up?
No, because I think they were really close last year. I think they were really close last year. And I think that Lyles had that great race at at the end of the season, which put him back into that number 1 spot, in my opinion. But I think this has always been close ever since outdoor 2021. I need to see him head to head. That's what I would need to see. I need to see one of these men beat him head to head.
In a 200, not a 100, in a 200.
Correct. Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
All right, let's move back to
Let's
Penn.
go to Penn.
Athing Mu, 122.74 in the 600. 4th fastest all time. Did you think there was something that she left on the table that she could have got the world record in this race, or is this kind of what you expected?
I expected world record, but I think she ran the race in a way to win. And you look at her pull away the last 200, she definitely had more there. I think it looked, watching it, that first 200 looks really fast because these are mostly 800-meter runners and you're comparing it to an 800 and they look like they're just shot out of a can in the first 200. But that first part of the race, I think they could have gone a little bit quicker, and they talked about that after the race. I mean, credit to Ajay Wilson for getting the pace going. Yeah, I think she could run quicker. But it's an incredible race. Her first time at Franklin Field, going against a tough field. Here's the thing. It's like, as I said before, she's just perfectly suited for that distance. So I think if this was a regular event and she ran it even one more time, I think she could go 121 for sure.
Yeah, there was a fun moment you said you had in the press conference where you got dunked on.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
By
asked
Athing Mu.
her. Yeah, I said, "Did you run it like a 400 or like an 800?" And she said, "I ran it like a 600." To many laughs. I was like, you know what? Great, good answer. That's good. I deserve that one. I deserve that one. But I
Like I said,
think in that same question, I think that's when Toya Gould said, like, after 200, it felt like more like an 800, and they needed to get it going, get it going. Again, from my eyes, when I was commentating that race, it looked fast, but I was comparing it to an 800. So great race for her. I mean, good competition with Gould, Alge Wilson, and then on the American side of things, Wilson, Nia Akins, Olivia Baker. There's going to be a lot of finalists from U.S. champs that were in this race. So she got the win, which was the most important thing, and looked just in command over the last 200. I don't know if you can take anything else from it other than she's right where she left off last year. Um, I want to talk about this 4x15 though, which to me, on the relay side of things, college side of things, was the race of the meet. You agree?
oh, of course, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
It lived up to the billing that we put upon it. We promoted it like it was going to be a national record attempt. We broke it down that it was going to be between Arkansas and NC State. BYU
Mhm.
decided to go all in on a different race, but they would have been in it if BYU chose to be in it. But the Arkansas NC State battle, we thought Caitlin Tui would be on that anchor, and we could see potential magic. And we see what happened is Arkansas ran a better leg on that final. Like, I think there was a strategical error that Caitlin Tui made here, where Tui got the stick like 2 seconds behind Chrissy Gear, right? And
Mhm.
she decided to make a move. Caitlin closed the gap, which we knew would happen because like 2 seconds, 1500, it's gonna be hard for a Chrissy Gear just to keep that going. We knew Caitlin Tui was gonna catch her. The problem is Tui tried to make that pass way too early. She made the move like 350 meters out and thought she would just pull away. I like to think that if Tui would have stayed on her tail up until 100 meters to go and then make the final kick, it would have been more of a potential for NC State to win. Um, but
Yeah.
Chrissy Gear is also a 409 1500 meter
Yeah.
runner. She
Yeah.
ran 410 split here. So it was going to be a tough challenge for Tui to beat a 409 runner who has a 2 second lead. But
Exactly.
regardless, it was a great run for both teams. Arkansas shattering the record. They both shattered it. I mean, we knew basically halfway through the third leg, the record was gone. And it was exciting to see two great teams, two great programs. 2019 cross country champs versus the 2021 cross country champs.
Yeah.
It was exciting.
I think the theme was both teams just went for it. They absolutely went for it from the leadoff leg all the way through to the anchor leg because the second leg, NC State had the edge and they tried to open the gap as much as possible. Third leg, Lauren Gregory of Arkansas claws back, and she didn't just pull even with NC State and then sit on NC State's shoulder and then outkick NC State in the last 100. No, the thought process was, well, I think they all had, at least the Arkansas folks seemed to have the record in their mind. So it was go, 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 go. But also, they wanted to just put their anchor leg in the best possible position. And Gear was going for it. It's not as if Gear put on the brakes and then this turned into a tactical last leg. She was going for it. And then Tui was going for it. And that's what made this race so epic. And the fans were so into this one because it was move after move after move. And I give Tui credit because you can like break down every single little decision, but she put it all out there. And we don't know her official final split. I'm still working on that. Maybe I'll have that by Wednesday's pod. We still don't know her official final split, but
I told you to text the
it,
coach.
it's possible that she had a PB. It's possible that she ran a PB on this anchor leg. So what more could you ask for if you're NC State or if you're Arkansas? Like both teams got the absolute best out of everybody. And she thought her best chance was probably a long drive from home. Like she probably thought, hey, she knows how good Gear is. If I just sit, maybe that's my best shot. Maybe I need to break her from farther out. It was just awesome. It was awesome to see this race, this relay. This one and some of the other relays just made me think, and I talk more about this on this week's edition of This Week in Track. There needs to be a distance relay at the NCAA Outdoor Championships, either 4x DMR, 4x15, I guess, but that's a little long. I don't care. There needs to be some distance relay at outdoors. It needs to change.
Yeah, I agree. We There's so many great distance programs in the NCAA that like no matter what, you're gonna get a great, you know, championship style performance from these teams. The reason why we don't have a lot of distance relays at the world championship level is because World Athletics recognizes that watching mainly Kenya and Ethiopia run by themselves isn't great TV. And you don't have like a lot of teams that can put together world class for unique distance athletes. I disagree with that. I think, UK has great athletes. Australia, obviously America, like you can find a way to get a good group of 8 at a world championship level, but at an
Yeah.
NCAA level, you 100% can get a good group of 8 to 12 in a final for a great relay.
Yeah.
And hey, I mean, it was pretty cool. We mentioned in the broadcast, like in the beginning of the race, we literally saw the past 3 cross country teams: BYU, Arkansas, and
Yeah.
NC State. Just like it's like all right, we're watching cross country, the all star cross country race right now.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah. And it just feels weird. This was so awesome. You want to bottle it and save it. And instead, that's it. Now they're all going to go do some individual events. No, I want to see round 2. I want to see BYU at full strength get after it. On the men's side, I want to see Texas versus Ole Miss after what Ole Miss did in the 4x in the DMR and what Texas did in the 4x mile. I want to see who has that better mid distance program. And you can go and measure up individual results when you get the NCAA outdoors. But I just think you got the 4x1, you got the 4x4. Let's just put one in there. We have one indoors. Let's just do one of them outdoors. Could be 4x8, could be DMR. Fine with either. Also,
Yeah,
4x15 and 4x mile, it's so long, but if you're invested in it, it's tense. It reminds me of the last like 2 minutes of a basketball game where there's fouls and replays and reviews and it drags on forever, but you're just on the edge of your seat the entire time. We'll have a cool feature coming out on this race, hopefully by tomorrow, a video feature that we can talk about on Wednesday. I was down on the track for it. It was just the pressure was just palpable down there.
yeah, and as we can talk a little bit about the men's 4 by mile, Texas winning that. What makes these 4x15s and 4 by miles great is that there's a lot of spikes because basically every mile is going to have a great last 400 where
Yeah,
someone is
yeah,
going to pull away or someone is going to get dropped. And you get to see that happen 4 different times. You get to see an epic
yeah,
1500-meter kick 4 unique times all in the same race. So you have like, oh, they're pulling away, and then it settles down. You get to take a break for 800 meters, and then you get to go away, and then you get a little break, and it kind of pulls you in and out. And this men's 4 by mile with Texas becoming victor had a lot of that. Texas men, their second leg, Yassine Abdallah fell, and so Texas was basically 30 meters back from majority of the second and third leg, but third leg was slow enough where Texas were able to get back in it, and Creighton Carrozza was able
yeah,
to be in position in that final group. And look at this. We're 15 minutes into the race, if you're watching it right
yeah,
here. And there were still 8 teams who have all run, you know, 3 miles each. And we're still like, there's no separation, which is what's great about this race is it wasn't just one team running by themselves. There was a pack of 12 great NCAA schools. And as we're looking right now at the final lap, Olin Hacker, got to give it up for him. He gave a lot of effort in the DMR, came up short against Ole Miss, against, no shame in losing to Mario Garcia Romo. But you got to feel for him because if you watch this race here, Olin Hacker right now is in like 3rd position coming down the back stretch. And then a little bit of jostling happens because I'm not sure what caused it, but you see the Providence athlete, that's AJ Ernest. He's on the inside. He's trying to split Georgetown and Nova, and they won't let him through. And so then he pushes Olin Hacker, and then Olin Hacker then moves out and trips up Alex Osberg, and they go down. And then thins out the field. Carrozza
yeah.
still kind of on the inside, doing my own little play-by-play of the race. And Carrozza takes the victory down the home stretch.
Yeah. Different flavors. Those two longer relays, different flavors. Some people like this. Some people like the N State, Arkansas, just complete pedal to the metal. We're going to spread out who the best two teams are. Know me. We're going to go after fast times. So a little bit of everything here. And they threw the water bottle here. I was almost got wet right there. By the way, I was just out of frame. I don't know if the officials were too happy about that one. All right. A couple other races I want to talk about from Penn. City McLaughlin opened up her season in the high hurdles. Won comfortably, looked good, looked very smooth, technically over all of the barriers. Um, not a big surprise that she would have won. Runs 12:75, which is just a tenth off her lifetime best. And this was her first race since Tokyo, first time competing since the Olympics in the 4x4. So to be only a tenth off, pretty good sign for her. We saw her high hurdle race last year set up the low hurdles. Everybody's obviously waiting to see her in the low hurdles and how quick she will be. But if you're just marking this as compared to last year and using that as a point of comparison for where she's at, looks to be right where she was in 2021, which is a good sign.
Yeah. I'm be honest, I don't really know what to take from this race, right? Because it's a 100 hurdles. She's gonna be going up against the little Muhammad in the 400 hurdles. You know, whether she ran 12.8 or 12.6, and she ended up running 12.7, I would have kind of all looked at it the same way. She's the thing you get from it is she's healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's
Mm-hmm.
healthy. 2 months out from Worlds, so that's all that matters. Got to be healthy. You know that she has the talent. She has world record talent. Health is the most important thing in that situation. And I'm excited to see her go up against Dalila, whether we have to wait, whether we get at USA's, which we probably won't. We'll have to wait to Worlds, but round
Mm-hmm.
what, 5 or 6 or 12 of Dalila versus Sydney will be must-watch TV.
At least five. If you're just going U.S. champs, Worlds, Olympic trials, Olympics. So at the very least, it's five when they're at the peak of their powers. I know they've raced in other instances, but those were the ones that we remember from 2019 and 2021. Yeah, you're absolutely right there. Everybody's waiting for that one. And again, just good to see her back on the track competing. All right. Let's talk about the Jamaican high school domination, though. I mean,
My goodness.
Edwin Allen on the women's. We got to see, the athletes that really made a name for themselves at champs. We got to see them at Penn, which was pretty cool. Kingston College won the high school boys 4x4. I was in the stands for this one. This one wasn't close if I'm remembering it
Like,
correctly.
like go
I
back,
wanted it to be close. I
Colt,
wanted
if
it to
you
be
go to the
close
beginning,
because I wanted it to just get deafeningly loud on that home stretch. It was still ridiculously loud, but the margin of victory was so big.
show the go back. Just show the stadium. Look at that lower bowl. It is completely full all the way around. I mean, it may look empty because that top. I mean, this is a stadium that holds 50,000 people, but that lower bowl, it is filled all the way around the entire track with fans. It was 20,000 loud, just going nuts for this 4x4.
Including the Prime Minister of Jamaica, who was there,
Yes.
which was
But yeah, what's your thoughts on Kingston College's 309?
I mean, first of all, you're thinking, wait, 309 high school? That's insane. And then you hear the PA guy say, that's the seventh fastest time or something at the Penn Relays or something. Like, what? Or I mean, it's just incredible. It's just incredible to see the depth. It's incredible to hear the support for these athletes. And I don't know. I guess I need to do a deeper dive. I know a lot of the Jamaican fans are rooting for their squad, but it seems like even if it's not their squad that's in it, they're going to root for a fellow Jamaican team. So if you're Calabar, you're going to be okay with another Jamaican team. When, like, first and foremost, like, you want to fly the Jamaican colors, and you weren't kidding about that home stretch being all Jamaica. Like, it was so loud whenever the Jamaican teams took the lead or took it home, and it was. I mean, the Prime Minister showed up at a track meet. Like,
Yeah, I was.
it's crazy.
I was walking, like I was going back and forth between the media room and the track, and I was walking through like a tunnel, and then all of a sudden I saw all these like men in suits, sunglasses, they had like earpieces in, walk by me, and then like Captain, I was like, "What's going on?" And it was like a a pack of like 12 people.
Yeah.
And then when the last person passed me, I was like, who, what's going on? He's like, it's the
Yeah.
Prime Minister of Jamaica. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. And so, hey, met the Prime Minister of Jamaica.
Yeah. Heidel
And
was
we're
another
thinking,
one that.
when's the last time a sitting president has ever gone to a track meet
Mhm.
that's not the Olympics?
Yeah.
'Cause I don't think the U.S. president has ever gone to a track meet while president, right? We have presidential candidates go to track meets, but not sitting presidents. And in
Yeah.
Jamaica, their
Well,
president is flying to another country to go to a track meet to watch high school
it,
kids run. It's crazy.
judging by the reception, it seemed as if it was a smart political decision because he
Oh
was
yeah,
well received when he was out there. And then you just go watch. I don't know if I said this on the pod, but it's just this source of pride. This island of a couple million people, and then you go to this meet and you watch them just put on a show against a country that's so much bigger than they are. But yeah, Edwin Allen on the women's side, Heidel. It was just amazing. Liston, the Clayton twins, a lot of potential future stars out there competing, and the handoffs were clean. Gordon, there were a lot of very clean handoffs.
yeah. They know how to hand off in Jamaica. Something that us American men need to figure out in time
Look at
by
these the
July.
margins of the margins of victory. I mean, for Heidel and the women's, and then for Kingston and the men's were massive, and they were still loud. They were cheering as if it was going down to the wire. It was great, incredible experience. If anybody has not been to Penn, you got to go to Penn. You got to go
I
to
want to give
Penn.
a big shout out though to the American team Bullis. The women got third in the 4x4. The men took second in the 4x4. So
Yeah.
Bullis held its own against the all Jamaican field. So
Mhm. Put this up on the
it's
screen.
fun.
What does this say?
This is a TikTok.
New,
Uh,
new favorite genre of TikToks is people talking about the Jamaican high schoolers' performance at Penn Relays.
you're about to run against the Jamaicans at Penn, and the guy's just
Yeah.
like disappointed. Yeah, very true. There are a lot of disappointed. It is interesting because when they mix, especially in the prelims, when they put like, it's like everyone, right? So there could be a
Yeah.
situation where you're just like a local school in the Philadelphia area. You're not any good. You're just like a bunch of freshmen.
Yeah.
You're just there to have a good time, and then you're like, right, standing right next to you in lane 1 or lane 2 is like one of the best teams in the world in the high school
Yeah.
level from Jamaica. And you're like, okay, good luck. You know,
Well, in what other sport are you in high school getting exposed to other teams from around the world that are some of the best? Right?
not really.
Like,
Yeah,
are elite basketball teams playing in tournaments against the best U18 Spanish teams or teams from Serbia or Australia? I don't know. Like, yeah,
not
you can
as
get enough
often at
competition in
least.
the United States. Yeah, you can get enough competition, I guess, in the United States, but just a cool part of track where there's this meet in particular where they're able to see and you get a broader perspective of, man, I thought I knew what fast was. That's fast. That's fast. I thought my district or my state was good. This is a whole nother level going against them. Um, all in the game posted on the chat. Long overdue a Jamaican or Caribbean World Championships. I agree. I'll be there.
Yes, they tried.
We're trying to go to Jamaica next year.
They did the World
Trying to go.
Relays. So, but yeah, we talked about that. We got to go to champs. We're gonna do a bunch.
Yeah.
We gotta get. We'll do some.
I
Yeah,
want a week in
I
Jamaica.
get that.
I've
I get that
talked Gordon's
approved.
ear off about this. I need to talk to the higher ups here. I've talked to Gordon about it enough. He knows where I stand on this. I'm pro going to Jamaica next year.
FloTrack
Film some
podcast live from
workouts.
Jamaica. FloTrack
Exactly.
pod live from Jamaica. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like
Get to
that.
as many
I like
schools as
that.
possible. Plus, I need the
Make it
shirts.
happen.
If I can't, I tried to order some shirts. I went online. Merch shop was difficult to find, so I think I need to go physically
Go.
there with my money and go buy the shirts. I want to be able to do a month of pods where the only thing I wear is a different Jamaican high school shirt. I could
I mean,
name more high
if you go to
schools.
champs, you'll see all the shirts because they all sit in their own sections, and they
I
all
know,
wearing
like,
the
yeah,
same
and then I got to
colors. You
Yeah.
just go, you spend a day in each section, and then you barter for a shirt, and then you collect all your shirts.
Could you name more Jamaican high schools or California high schools?
I could name more Jamaican high schools in California.
And for me, could I name more Jamaican high schools or Pennsylvania high schools?
You probably can name more Jamaican high schools.
Lower Marion, one. Is there an Upper Marion?
No, there's no Upper Marion. I
Ah!
don't think there's. I
All
don't think
right.
there's an Upper Marion. Yeah, no, I
I'm
don't think there's
out.
an Upper.
I'm out after.
No,
Well, your high school, Bethlehem High School. Is that
no,
what it's
that's
called?
Liberty High School.
Ah!
And
Okay, so I definitely.
our rival's name was Freedom. So
Ooh,
it's Freedom versus Liberty. Very patriotic town.
the
Freedom versus
age-old
Liberty.
battle between the two.
Would you rather have
Okay,
Liberty? Would you rather have Liberty or Freedom?
as a high school, I'd rather have Liberty. I think it sounds
Yeah.
better.
No, but like in
Maybe just because
life,
I've.
would you rather go in life with Liberty or go in life with Freedom?
Well, they're
Both those they mean the
synonyms.
same things. Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to choose
Yeah.
one. Which one do
We're
you want?
sticking
You want
with the
Liberty?
theme
Or do you,
of
or do you want
grammar
Freedom?
with Gordon today. Give me Liberty or give me. I'll say Liberty.
Liberty. All right, good.
Well, freedom's a little more accessible because people say the word freedom a lot more. All
That's true.
right, so we did 4 by mile. Anything else from Penn? Or do you want to move off of Penn?
No, I mean, again, just the atmosphere was incredible. It gets me excited that Penn Relays is back after the
Yeah.
hiatus. And I truly think, again, we had a bunch of, we'll talk about these meets. There were some other meets that were going on, notably the LSU meet, where a bunch of really good sprint schools are going there to run some fast sprint times. That's where Erriyon Knighton ran his mark. But like those schools, they need to come to Penn because if they were doing what they were doing down in LSU in front of that crowd, it
Yeah.
is just you got to do it because it's a crowd. Like you got to go where the fans are go, right? You don't want to run in the middle of the woods and like time trials nobody sees. You need to go where the people are going, and people are there. And for this
Yeah.
weekend, you just got to go where the people go. So I'm excited to see the meet blossom and see more SEC schools make the trip. And I think hopefully, they take notice and see, well, that's a great atmosphere. I want to be a part of that. And coaches and
Hmm.
athletes are like, Coach, let's run a 4x1 there. Let's experience that. So
Yeah.
it was great weather
100%.
too. That was good too.
Yeah. Especially by that last day, good for all the events. Wasn't too hot for distance and wasn't too cool for sprints.
Yeah.
Times were all wind legal, but there was some tailwinds. Devin Allen got the win over Omar McLeod in a good race. Allen's been on fire right
Let's
now.
talk about that. Let's talk about that event. So all on the same day, Devin Allen runs 13:11, breaking the Penn Relays record. Good win legal. Trey Cunningham at the North Florida Invitational runs 13:10 legal. And then Grant Holloway, the de facto the eventual greatest of all time hurdler, runs 13:34 into a little bit of a headwind. So you
Yeah.
have Cunningham and Allen running 13:1s. Grant Holloway making his 110 debut running 13:3. Hot take. Should we be worried about Grant Holloway's potential?
No, we should not be. Grant Holloway's fine. As a whole, the United States is thankful that Grant Holloway won 2019 World Champs, so they get 4 in because you could get Allen, you could get Cunningham, you get another person in there. Maybe it's Eaton or Roberts or Mallet or somebody else. I think he's fine. I think head to head they'll be fine. I think Allen, obviously, he's running with nothing to lose at this point. He knows what he's going to be doing next year. And we talked about it on the Saturday bonus pod. That has to be very liberating for him. And indoors, he was good. Outdoors, I'd say he's almost gotten better. Because if you're running 13:1s now, his PB 12:99 they did at the end of last season, I think he can get into sub 13 by the time you get to USAs. We could have an all-time USAs where it's not just Holloway. You have Holloway leading the pack, but you know what this reminds me of? this has the potential of reminding me of Holloway's last collegiate season, where it was him and Daniel Roberts. Now, the gap there was closer at the time than it is now between Holloway and everybody else in the US. But just in terms of multiple people putting up all-time marks, I think we could see that. Because Cunningham, like, look at what Cunningham did indoors. And then now look at the fact that he's running 13:10.
Yeah, I think we're sleeping on Cunningham. Not gonna lie.
I just said
He,
he could be part of an all-time field. That's not sleeping on him. What do you mean?
no, we're still.
You're
I think
picking
we're
him?
sleeping.
You thought I was crazy for picking Erriyon Knighton in the 200 after he ran 1949, and you're like, you know what? Going Cunningham over Holloway.
I mean, okay, I'm not going Cunningham over Holloway. I just think though it is something though when on the same day you had two guys running 13-1s and Holloway running
Yeah.
13-3. And I get it. Holloway probably would have ran 13-1 if he was in one of these races. But I do think Holloway is going to, I think second and third place at Worlds are going to be like 12-9s. Maybe even at USA's are going to be 12-9s. Meaning you're going to have to be running 12-8 to win, right? I just think that the field is catching up to Holloway. And I think that's good for Holloway because it's going to make Holloway even go harder and run even better. And we'll see even more all-time great marks. But the field is not falling off of Holloway. It is coming up on him. Now, they're not passing him yet. I'm not saying that. But they are getting closer. Because when you have a college kid running 13-1 and Devin Allen running 13-11 in April, that's going to translate to 12-9s. And as great as Holloway is, like,
This is
12-9s don't grow on trees. So, Grant Holloway's going to have his work cut out for him. That's what I'm saying. I'm still picking Holloway, for the record. I'm still picking Holloway. I'm not dumb. But I'm excited about what Cunningham and Allen are doing.
All right, let's talk about the 100. Bromell went 975 with a +2-1 at North Florida. Favor Ash of Tennessee went +3, ran 979 with a +3 at LSU. Then you also had a junior record from
Letsile Tobago from Botswana.
Letsile Tobago. Yeah, that he ran in Botswana.
996 junior record.
Yeah. Let's start with Bromell.
Man, 2.1, that's very close to being 2.0. That's a little.
Can you check that, Cole?
And yeah, 2.0 is very close to 2.1 last time I checked. I think it's a difference of, what's the difference between it's 0.1? Yeah, 0.1. Colt did the math for us, putting it up. Difference between 2.0 and 2.1 is 0.1, according to Colt's math.
0.1 meters per second. Extrapolate that to meters per hour. Got a whole different number there,
imagine?
too.
Yeah, it's also hard to calculate. What is a meter per, like, so 1 meter per second. I'm going to go 1. Okay, I'm going to do a meter with my hand. 1. So now it's like.
That didn't look like a meter.
So it's going a meter in 10 seconds, right? So 10 seconds, I'm going to go a meter. This is how slow that wind is difference. This is great. If you're listening to the pod, you're loving this.
It's not good.
It's not that long.
7,
it's not that much.
8, 9.
It's even worse.
It's not that
audio.
long. So what I'm trying to say is 975, that's like a 978.
Yeah.
Legal.
Yeah.
And he's running sub 8, 9.8 in April. Man, this is the worst thing about the US sprinting right now in the world is that we keep on thinking, all right, we got the guy. This is the favorite. And then someone else does something. It's like, well, what about that? And then another person says, what about this? And we keep on having these moments of Curly. No one's going to beat Curly. Look what this guy's doing. Curly, come on. It's Curly. And then you have Knighton do that thing. Now you're like, guys, Bromell just ran 9.7. You're like, okay, well, what about, Favor Ash running 9.79? He's a college freshman. and it's just like it's overwhelming. The amount of sprinting is overwhelming for me, and I don't know what to do. I do not know how to process it. I liked it when it was a lot simpler, when we just knew kind of the pecking order. But
Uh-huh.
these athletes are refusing to give us a pecking
Well,
order because they keep
yeah.
going all over the place.
Well, they
It's
need
a
to
good
race against
problem to
each
have.
other.
Yes,
And we're
it's a good
getting to the
problem to
point in the season where they're going to start racing against each other. And we're getting to the point of the season where they're going to be racing Diamond League fields. And we're not going to see every matchup that we want to see. But you could learn a lot right now from a Bromell versus Coleman or a Bromell versus
have.
DeGrasse or a Bromell versus Jacobs. That would help clarify things. I think 975, you're right, 2.1, not far off. Even if he's running nine, I don't know what the conversion would be in still conditions, but even if you're going 985, if it's legal, that's still a great sign. With Ash, do you put him now in the conversation? I thought it was Burnett, Bowling, and
Michael
who's our
Williams.
third guy? Williams.
Michael Williams.
Is it now a four-man race?
Yeah, I think so. This is 979's real. Again, at 3.0, but it's still real. That's a real sub 10 at the least.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I think it's also kind of a hodgepodge. You know, you have a reason to believe in Williams because he's the most consistent. You have a reason to believe in Ash because he just ran 9.7. You have a reason to believe in Burnett because of indoors. And you have a reason to believe in Bowling because he's like just really good at
Sub 10,
running.
sub 20.
Sub 10, sub 20. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Similar at the world stage and the US stage, the NCAA stage is also hard to distinguish, which is great. It makes it exciting for, SECs is going to be wild, right? Yeah, because Tennessee would be there, Bowling will be
Mm-hmm.
there, Burnett won't. But Pac 12 and SEC, it's like the semifinals, right? Pac
Mm-hmm.
12 championship, SEC championship. That's our final four semifinal matches. And then they'll meet again at the NCAAs.
Winner advances.
Exactly.
Single elimination tournament.
Yep. That's how we're doing it.
Let's stick with the college side of things. 100, but go to the women's side. Favor O'Feely, 1093. Continues to pour it on this year as we get closer to that women's 200-meter showdown at SECs that we're so interested in seeing, and then eventually at NCAAs as well. But both her and Steiner can do it in the 100 and the 200.
I thought we were going to see more of Kentucky at Drake Relays. They only ran like the prelim, and then they didn't run it anything else. So I was like, I thought I would see a lot of Steiner headlines coming out of Drake Relays, but just for some reason we don't know. I don't know why they pulled out, but
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of weird, right? Isn't that kind of weird? You have like one of your greatest sprinters in school history. You're at a relay meet, and all you do is a prelim, and then you're like, we're done. Seems kind of weird.
So
No?
it's so crazy how close these are. I just pulled this up. Steiner 1092, O'Feely 1093 in the 100. 200, O'Feely 2196, Steiner 2205.
Yeah.
Wins are
2 weeks
different,
away.
whatever.
Two
But
weeks away from
where is that meet?
solving that debate.
Do you know where
That
it
meet
is?
is
Is it?
in
It's
Oxford,
not in college.
Mississippi.
I was gonna say it's not in College Station because I think you'd need to
No.
go
Yeah, Oxford,
to
Mississippi.
Chronicle. Yeah, the year of the women's 200 rolls on.
In
Um,
Oxford, Mississippi.
yeah, so let's go back to that meet in Botswana because Mboma ran 2187 there, but we know how good she is. I think the story was Letsili Tobogo, who turns 19 in June. If I'm looking at this correctly. Plus 1.9, 9.96 for him. Another name to throw in there. I mean, I just don't. We're getting representation from throughout the world, and obviously you see when we talk about how crowded the U.S. side of things is with the sprints, right? The flip side of that is, this year only four can go, which means there's opportunities for other athletes to make finals and advance. And Tobogo's only 18 years old. I'm looking at his progression now. I mean, he ran 10.11 last year. So, and he ran 10:08 early this year. So, a big drop in time, but at that age, not unheard of at all. I mean, we just saw what Knighton did.
You know what's also crazy? Christina Mboma is still only 18 years old. She hasn't turned 19 yet. She turns 19 tomorrow, May 3rd.
Hmm.
No, that's wrong. No, she turns tomorrow, May 22nd. I misread the date.
Wait, she turns.
Sorry.
She turns to what? What did
She
you
turns
say?
tomorrow.
She doesn't. I messed up. She turns 19 on May 22nd. I jumbled my
Oh,
words.
that's close,
I apologize.
close to my birthday.
Yeah, May 22nd.
Well, and Boma did the thing that Ingebrigtsen did, which was you get so many U20 marks at a certain point, you just assume every time every time you PR, it's a U20 mark, and then you're competitive globally. All you're looking at is gold medals and where they sit in the all-time list. It's like a foregone conclusion that they're going to dominate the U20 marks.
Ready for the two marks that no one's gonna talk about?
Sure.
Mark number one that no one's gonna talk about: Jalil Muhammad, 53.88 at Drake Relays. Pretty good. 400 hurdles, 53.88. We again we were spoiled with 400-meter hurdle incredible marks, but again 53.88 in April. That's good. You still don't know the Muhammad plan because obviously she doesn't need to run USA's. So we might not see Sydney and Muhammad until the final of in Eugene in July. But
Mhm.
Muhammad is still, how old is she now? She 30 yet?
She is 32.
32. Okay. Yeah. So she's coming near the end of her peak physical ability, right? Because Sydney's obviously still
I don't know
very young.
that.
It's going to be. I mean,
You always
when
always say this about people, and you have no idea. You have no
okay,
idea.
no, how many 35-year-olds are great 400-meter runners? Outside of Allison, okay, outside of Allison Felix. Outside of Allison Felix.
Here's the
When did
thing.
Sonia Richards-Ross retire?
Here's the thing with Muhammad. I think like her not having to run anything early season in terms of 400 hurdles is obviously
Is good.
like it's a huge advantage because not just from the perspective of all right, I can time my season later, but she can see what everybody else has, which I think is going to be
Yeah,
particularly helpful
that's
for
true.
her. I'm looking at last year because you go 53.88. We're spoiled by 51s now. That's that's a fast time. You think, it needs to go 51. But only 8 women total ran faster than 53.88 last year. And one of them was herself. So she's already, if you're playing the elimination game, she's already cut out all but 7 women in the world
Yeah.
just in her first 400-meter hurdle race.
Breaking. Are you saying she's going to make the final at Worlds? Is that what you're saying? She's going to make the world final?
She's got a good shot. No, I think it's just funny because I see the 53 and before last year, I'd have been like, ooh. And before 2019's world record, I would have been like, whoa, already 53.88. But then when you have the, back-to-back world records and championships, it just changes your perspective of it.
And then the last mark that I think is Joe Kovacs threw 22.46 meters in a shot. But more importantly, in his 6 attempts, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them were over 22 meters, which showed like consistency. He threw over 22 meters 3 out of 5, and then on the 6th throw, he threw 22.46. Obviously, Ryan Krauser is the king of the shot, but clearly the king sometimes loses. He didn't win World Indoors. Joe Kovacs throwing 22.4 in April. That's my tagline. Whenever I say it was in April. But
Yeah.
Ryan Krause is going to have something cut out for him if Joe Kovacs is throwing 22 meters this early. So we'll see how that goes. But good performance there for Joe Kovacs, 22.46. I think it's like his 5th or 6th best throw in his career. So pretty good.
That was a shot put recap, Gordon.
Yes. Shot repack.
Well,
Shot re-
I bet my
repack.
house on Krauser. I hope I didn't jinx him like I did Lyles last year.
Who did I say I haven't bet in my house on? Did I bet my house on anyone? I forget.
Mondo, I think.
Bet my house on Mondo?
Maybe a thing, Mo.
No, I
Maybe it's
think
a thing.
I
We have
might
to
have
go
done it.
back and listen
Yeah.
to it. That was the bonus pod. Speaking of bonus pod for the YouTube subscribers out there, we're gonna get our bonus pod this week. That is our
Yeah, we're
promise.
late.
We'll get you the end of April bonus pod. But it'll be better because it's late because we have more stuff to talk about. We can go in a bunch of different directions. Top 10 times Gordon got owned at the Penn Relays. That might be the topic.
What?
What other
I never
athletes
got
dunked on
owned.
Kevin during interviews? You do that one. So
I know
on the
we'll
site,
talk. I'll go.
on the site, we have the behind the scenes highlight from the men's DMR. We got the women's 4x1500, as I talked about earlier. That's going up, so people can check that out. Also did a sights and sounds thing from Penn where you ask people questions. Some listeners of the pod made cameos, which was terrific. And you'll have your ranking show back this week. All of another race breakdown. I'm going to do a thing Mo's 600 from Penn. Chit chat more about that. And then I got This Week in Track coming later today on the YouTube channel where I talk about Knighton and the idea of the next bolt. I'll go into more depth on the distance relays at NCAA's and the difference between grandstand meets and infield meets, Gordon. I'm going to talk about the difference between those two.
Yes.
That'll be on This Week in Track.
Love it. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves because we'll probably talk about this on Wednesday or Friday. Probably Wednesday. But did you see the news of who's going to be racing in Nairobi, Kenya against each other? Live on FloTrack?
I actually didn't. Can you tell me who and when and where and all that stuff?
Fred Curley versus Marcel Jacobs.
100?
I'm not sure what event, but they're racing each other.
And for folks who don't know, when does that mean?
It's May 7th. So I think it's either Friday or Saturday. I don't know what day of the week that is.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday. May 7th. Live on Flow. So that should be fun.
Yeah.
You should know. Pretty cool.
Check it all out on the site. Travis already posted a clip from today's show. Will Erriyon Knighton be better than Usain Bolt? So that's going to go over well with that title. Really
Maybe.
Fair question now? Is it a fair question?
It is a fair question. Because it wasn't a fair question last year. Because, sure, he broke the junior record last year. But it wasn't a fair question. But this year, it's a fair question. 19.49 is rarefied air, and he's doing it at 18. He's not doing it at 24.
Yeah.
He has a lot of real estate ahead of him to tackle it. Now, it's a fair question all this year. He needs to, I mean, how old was Bolt when he ran his 1919?
1919. He was pretty young. He ran 1919 in 2009. A day before he turned 23, it looks like he ran it.
So we have a long time for Knighton to catch
Yeah, but
that.
not everybody's clock is the same. Some people's clock starts
but
early.
like,
maybe his is later. Maybe Knighton's later. He didn't do track until later on in high school. Here's the thing, though, and this is even crazy to say. Let's say he gets the record. Bolt, it's not just about records with Bolt. It's about 08, 2012, 2016. Yeah. It's about pulling off that sweep 3 times. So you basically need to say, since Knighton didn't get a gold medal in 2021, he'd have to go 24, 28, 32, which means we would need to still be talking about him 10 years from now, which is possible given his age. But when you are talking about, is someone going to be better than Bolt, I don't think it's just a one performance world record thing. You have to look at the records and
Yeah, and Knighton needs to all of a sudden become like a 9.6 guy in the 100, which we don't think will happen yet. So I think Kevin froze. Kevin froze on us. Let's just hang it up. But yeah, if Knighton wants to be Bolt, not only is the guy improve his 200 still more, but he needs to become like a 9.6 meter guy, which we don't know of is going to happen yet. But anyway, that's it. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Colt. Thanks to Travis. Thanks to Kevin. Like, subscribe. We'll be back Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Central. See you then.